It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide every entrepreneur with all of the resources that are really necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only. She goes by Kat. I'm gonna try to say Katina. Did I get it right that time? Katiana?
Yes.
Katiana.
Yes. It's
Work with the boy.
Katiana.
Work with your boy here. Katiana Carre is in the building. Talk about the importance of financial wellness. What's up, Katiana? How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I love your energy, by the way. How are
Well, I
you?
love being here with you. You're talking about money, and I'm curious. Before we get started, everyone's curious. I'm curious. They're curious. Financial wellness. Okay, seriously, they're looking at the topic. They're reading your bio, so they're seeing how famous you are. But they're curious. What does financial wellness mean to you? Because it means different things to different people these days. So we can all be on the same page as we're having this conversation. Tell us, what is financial wellness, and why is it so important today more than ever?
Yes. Oh, thank you for that powerful question. Here's the thing, right? The traditional financial industry focuses a lot on strategy, right? They'll give you a budget, they'll give you investment strategies. They'll even give you a whole financial plan on a nice, pretty printout and say, here you go, good luck. But what happens is the gap in this is that no one is addressing all of the things that money is tied to. I mean, think about it. What are some things that money is tied to? Money is tied to your self worth. A lot of people, right, depending on how much money they have in the bank, determines how they feel about themselves, their self esteem. Money is tied to your relationships. One of the leading causes of divorce is financial issues. Money is tied to relationships with other people outside of a romantic relationship. We're talking, friends, right? Think about lending money to friends, or that one friend that can never afford anything. That affects things, right? Your relationship with your parents and money. Money is tied to your health. If you don't have a certain amount of income, you don't have access to certain health privileges, right? And so when we look at all of the different things that money is tied to, it's not just about money in the bank. It's not just about a budget and a financial plan. It's about a holistic view of all of the things that money is tied to. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I guess the question is, why do people struggle these days with financial management, with financial wellness? I mean, we've got every app there is on the phone, and I'm guilty, by the way, of having all these financial apps, and I don't budget and track. I start the budget, but I don't finish it. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, please. But we have all these apps. We've got TikTok. We've got Instagram. We've got everyone saying, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. Yet, the average person, I think I read recently, has less than $1,000 in the bank account. So my
Yeah.
question to you, and I know it's a loaded question, but I'd love to get your perspective. Why do people struggle these days with money?
Right. Right.
Why?
Oh, good. You're coming in hot with the questions. You're by far my favorite podcast so far. You coming in hot. All right. Why do people struggle? This is, like you said, it is a loaded question, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. It has been proven, right, in many, many studies, psychological studies, that whenever you're in a stressful situation, the frontal lobe, which is responsible for logic, right? So you talk about, hey, I have the budgeting app, that's logic. Hey, there's the TikTok videos, that's logic, right? It's not like I don't have access to the information. All of that is logic. But when you put a human being in a stressful situation, it has been proven that the logic brain turns off. This is why humans freeze in dangerous situations, because the logic is no longer here. And so, if the logic is no longer here, guess what takes over? Your subconscious. This is what we call in the psychological world the reptilian brain. This is the part of the brain that is responsible for your heart beating. Think about it. You don't have to think about your heart beating, right? I mean, you could, but you don't have to. You don't have to think about breathing. Oh, I forgot to think about breathing. So I need to think about breathing. You don't need to do any of that. Why? Because your subconscious brain is taking care of all of that for you in the background. And so when your logic is turned off, your instincts kick in. And guess where you get your instincts from? You get your instincts while you're in your mother's womb, all right? So think of all of the stress, all of the things that your mother experienced, right? You're marinated in that womb, right? Absorbing all of it. And also, as soon as you come into this world, the first 7 years of your life, you have two people most of the time, right? You have people who are not necessarily a mother and a father, but people who are raising you. And guess what? This is how you learn everything, by watching them. And so when we look at our parents, our mom, our dad, our auntie, our uncle, our grandma, whoever it was, were they also struggling with money? The answer is most likely yes. And so you picked up that behavior from them. And where did they pick up that behavior? From their parents, and so on and so forth. And so this is, I hate to say the word generational curse because I feel like it's so overused, but this is a generational pattern that has been passed down from generation to generation. And it's not until you go into the subconscious brain and reprogram your mind that you're going to see the changes. So I could throw a budget at you all day long. You're not going to stick to it until we address the root of the issue, which is you pick this up from your parents or the people that raised you. And then we have to go in the subconscious and do some switching. Does that make sense?
So as you were talking, this is spot on, by the way. I mean, you're direct and to the point. I like it. Let's have a conversation with the other person, right? So there's one group we're talking to. It's financial wellness. Which they're looking for. Let's call it financial security. Financial security means, I don't know, I'm making this up, but you're the expert. They've got at least 6 months in the bank. I'll say it like that. They're out of debt, and they feel a little more secure with 6 months in the bank. I'm not saying that's all they need. I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying, let's just call it, they finally reached financial security, okay? And let's call it that. And then now we'll talk to the other group of folks, let's say that are independent. Well, they're independent, financially independent, okay? Financially independent, from my rule of the world, is just people who now have at least the money in the bank. They might have one property, might have some investments. They got a little 401k. So there's more money coming in than there is going out. Let's just call it that, okay? But they can't just spend whatever they want. What would you say to that group of folks, and what should they be focused on? Again, it's a loaded question because I know there's different spectrums, but you're talking now to the person that understands the power of it. They've got to where they want to get to, and they're like, man, my next step, talking to Shay Brown, is kind of like, man, how do I get wealthy, right? Wealthy is why I have so much money, I'm going to give it away, right? But I'm okay. Life's going to be okay unless there's some major catastrophe coming up. I don't have unlimited funds. Who does? So what would you say that they should be focused on from a financial wellness when they're having conversations with people like yourself and others? What should they be thinking about? What should they be looking about? Because they might be like, hey, does she only work with folks who are, not going to call them broke, but they don't have any money? Or does Katiana work with folks like me who, I'm trying to make my money grow, shorty? So Shay, ask her the question. Talk to the folks who are independently wealthy, or at least got financial security, and they're looking for, what should they be thinking about these days?
Yes. And to answer your question, like you said, it is a loaded question. But the first part of your question, you said, do I only work with people who are struggling? Believe it or not, most of my clients are making multiple six figures and millions of dollars, right? And so just because someone is making millions of dollars does not make them immune to having financial issues. I believe it or not, I have the lower income individuals that I work with have more money saved than the millionaires I work with. I'll give you an example. I have a client who's worth $5 million. She has nothing saved. Well, before she started working with me, now she's got about $50,000 saved, right? But when I talk to, so I'm going to talk to different types of multiple six-figure earners and millionaires, right? The first multiple six-figure earner is and millionaire is the one that has no problem making money. Okay, making money is easy for them, all right? But keeping the money is an issue. The root of that issue is usually because something happened in your childhood that made you feel that it was not safe for you to hold on to money. I'm going to repeat that. A lot of people are sabotaging the money that they make. So it comes in and goes right out. It comes in, they find a reason to spend it, and they can't seem to save. It's because they don't feel safe. They don't feel worthy of holding on to this money because X, Y, and Z may happen. And that's when we do the inner work, right? The subconscious work to find out what it is that they're afraid of, and then, conquer those fears. So that's the first category. The other category, like one of my clients, actually, we just wrapped up our 6-week program, right? She had about $50,000 sitting in the bank collecting dust. It's kind of the same thing as the first scenario. She was afraid to take on a risk. She was afraid of growing too big because she was keeping herself small to stay safe. Okay. And so all of this was happening in her subconscious where she said, okay, I'm good. You know, my parents taught me how to save. My parents even started investments for me. But when it goes to doing more, what's the advanced strategies, right? To grow my wealth, right? To get into real estate investing, international investing, private equity, maybe invest in some art, in some wine, right? I'm afraid. I don't feel like I belong there. I don't feel like I'm good enough in that class. And I don't trust myself to be that successful. So I'm just going to stay here where it's really comfortable and I'm going to stay safe. So this is the two main ends of the spectrum and everything in between that I usually help my clients with. I hope that answered the question.
That was perfect. Well said. Thanks a lot for framing the conversation for us. We appreciate it. Now, of course, people are saying, Shay, I hear her. She's got the fire. She's got the passion. I freaking hear it, see it, and feel it coming through the power of these fiber optic lines right now. But who in the LL Cool J is this woman, Shay? Slow down for a moment. Sorry, I understand. Let her tell us her backstory. Like, who is she? We want to know as a person as well. And then if she can, what's a defining moment that led her on the path that she's on now? I mean, I know y'all want to know. I want to know as well. So you get the question by now. Who are you? What's the backstory? And what was that defining moment? You said, I'm going to do this financial service thing. It's me.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Okay. So where do I start? Okay, I'll make it really short. So I grew up in Haiti, actually. Okay. And when I grew up in Haiti, I did not grow up poor. I know there's the stigma that if you're from, a third world country or the islands or, anywhere in Africa, you're like, you got flies on your face and you're dying, right? And you're malnourished. And that was far from what I experienced. My parents were actually part of the elite class. Okay. And because of that, we were targeted by the gang members that were trying to, destroy the country. There's so much politics in that. Okay. I don't want to get too deep into that. And so when we came to the United States, we came to the United States because my father's life was in danger because he was too successful. And so I didn't know it at the time, but knowing what I know now, what happened in my subconscious is I registered that it is dangerous for me to be too successful, because if I'm too successful, I'm going to get killed, right? And that's some big trauma that I was carrying around and I didn't even know it, right? So I'm, minding my own business, just, being me. And fast forward, my father actually passes away from soft tissue cancer. And I literally saw my parents go from having everything to, well, my mom, right? Because she went from a 2-income household to a 1-income household. She literally went from having everything to struggling. She lost her house. She lost her car. She was living in an apartment for the first time. I had never lived in an apartment. Okay. And so it was at that moment. And by that time I was in my teens and I was like, man, I need to understand how money works. Money is tied to so many things. And so fast forward, I ended up studying economics because I thought that was the way. Then I realized economics is so broad. Then I went into finance. And while I was studying finance, while I was getting my master's degree in finance, I also taught myself how to become a day trader. And with all of this knowledge, I had my economics degree, right? I had my finance degree. I even went and got my licenses. I'm still licensed in many, many different states, right? To be able to teach people about retirement planning and so on and so forth. But for some reason, my money was still suffering. I had all of this knowledge, like you said, right? We've got the TikTok and the apps. Not only did I have the TikTok and the apps, I had the degree, okay? But my money was struggling. And so I realized, Kat, you need some help. There's something wrong. I thought I was depressed or something. So I ended up working with a psychologist, and she mentioned to work with a life coach. And so I worked with a life coach, and they helped me realize all of this trauma that I was holding on to, my self-worth, my feeling of safety. I was afraid of success. And when we started to do the inner work, the subconscious work, I began to see shifts in my money. There was a point in time, Che, where I was living on a friend's couch with $20 in my purse. And mind you, I had my master's in finance. How embarrassing. I had all that shame and guilt. Like, I know all of this, but I have $20 to my name. And I literally went from having $20 to my name to hitting almost 300K the very next year after working with this life coach. And that's when I knew I was onto something. I said, okay, I have the knowledge. And it wasn't until I did all this inner work and this subconscious work that I saw a huge shift in my money. And so that's why I do what I do now, is because I went through it and I'm still going through it. I'm still growing, right? I'm still uncovering things. So
I
yes.
love it, by the way.
Yes.
We have a segment here, and this is so important, called Today is My January 1st, right? And today is my January 1st for those folks that do it every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know what we're about to say. You can go ahead and say those words now. Today is my January 1st. Doesn't that feel good, by the way? Happy New Year to you. And for those folks that are joining for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneurs family. We're going to encourage you to hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Make sure you connect with us. Stay in the conversation. Connect with us over on Instagram over at I am Che Brown. You can do that now. But today is my January 1st represents our core value. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past. No matter how many times we didn't budget, no matter how much money we spent, no matter what's happened, our past no longer equals our future. And so my question to Katiana on the other side is, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And then secondly, what was a moment that you had something that was a setback, that things didn't go the way you wanted to? And then how did you bounce back from that?
Oh man, so many to pick from. All right, which one do I pick? Which memory do I pick? Okay, so first part of the question is, today is January 1st. What does that mean to me? That means that the past no longer exists, and I say this to my clients all the time. The past no longer exists. One of the most powerful, I'm about to drop a gem real quick. One of the most powerful exercises you can do around your money is to forgive your younger self for all the mistakes that you made around money. Write it in a journal, right? Burn it, throw it in the water, bury it, whatever you have to do, rip it up, right? And say that it's a metaphor to say that I'm releasing all of this guilt, all of this shame that I'm holding on to. Because remember, and money is energy. I'm going to repeat that, right? Money is energy. And so if we have all of this gunk, all this guilt and shame that we're holding on to, right? Money's like, I don't like it over here. I'm going to go over there instead, right? And so we want to release that. So that's what I hear when I hear January 1st, letting go of the past, forgiving yourself. Okay. And a moment. Okay. Okay. Whew, which one do I pick? So many moments. Okay. All right. So, 2020. Okay. October 2020. I was on my own. I was a financial advisor at the time on my own, and I was struggling. Okay. I had to go and get my own clients, and I was struggling. And I was just fed up. I was like, okay, there's no reason why I have my master's, I have all these licenses, I have all this knowledge, and I'm over here struggling. Like, I had enough. This is enough. I do not want to experience this anymore. And I literally made a decision. I'll never forget this. October 31st was my January 1st. Okay. I said, from now on, I'm going to build a $250,000 business, because some of the best performing agents in my wealth management firm were making about that 250K, half a million. And I said, I can make 250K. And then from that decision, because I made that decision, I had to hold myself accountable, right? And so I started posting videos. I started, going live all the time, calling people, and I just started this motion. And then I hit my first 10K month in January of the next year, and then it just kept going up and up and up. It started with a decision. I was fed up, and I was like, I'm done with this, and I'm going to make 250K this year. And I did it. I actually surpassed it. So, yes.
Congratulations to you. That's so cool, by the way. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? What's one of them? And I'll frame the conversation around that. You've had so many mentors on this journey of life. You had some mentors you met. Maybe some mentors were just through a book or through a video. But on this journey of life, you had to pick just one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given that you hold near and dear to your heart. What is it? So you can share it with the audience. And you at home, this is the time I would say you get to lean all the way in, because you take a piece of Katina with you that you can use wherever you go. So what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given?
Ooh, there's so much. I think most recently, one of my mentors, he said, the 2 weeks after you want to quit is when everything falls into place. And that stuck with me. It stuck with me, because it's so right. Because every time I wanted to quit, And I was like, okay, maybe I should just go look for a job, and and then I'll use the money and grow my business. And let's just, every time I'm about to quit, something falls into place. Like I get invited to speak somewhere, or a client calls me out of nowhere and they're like, let me get started. So I guess I'll give you another one. The second advice, okay, I know you only asked for one, but I have this burning one, was there are two things you can always use to purchase things, right? Two things you can pay with. Okay, there it is. Two things you can pay with: your time or your money. And there's only one of these that is infinite. Time is not infinite. Money is infinite. And so if you have to choose to pay with your time or with your money, I always choose to pay with money. And so, yeah, those are the two.
I love it. Said so well. Thanks a lot. What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world, making a difference, changing lives?
What do I do for fun? I actually love to travel. I was a digital nomad last year. I traveled to 12 different cities in 12 months. So I would literally pick a different city. No, I didn't throw a dart, although that would have been cool, right? But I would just research, like, where can I get good Wi-Fi? Because I got to see my clients. I got to do videos and everything. And so I love to travel. I love to eat around the world, like try different foods. I love theater. I love film, like, actually like thought-provoking film, right? Not like those blockbusters, like, Avengers, like those are fun, but I like a movie that makes me think. What else? I like to cook. I like to dance. I just love culture. I love to experience different cultures.
What's one of your favorite meals to cook?
One of my favorite meals. Okay, there's this spinach. I know spinach is so basic, right? But the way that I make it, all right, I put some garlic, I put some green onions in there. I make it
Ooh.
spicy, and then you eat it with either like potatoes, or you can eat it with cassava, or you can eat it with rice. It's one of my favorite dishes. It's so easy, but it's so tasty. It's one of my favorite dishes.
That sounds yummy. You got me hungry already, by the way.
Right?
Well, as we come down the home stretch, the final two questions I have is number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? And number two, how can folks best connect with you so they can stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have now?
Right. Good question. The types of clients I'm looking for are the clients who did everything right? Who went to school, who got the good grades, who got the six-figure job, but they want more. They realize, hey, I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. Most of my clients are physicians, attorneys, nurse practitioners. They're working, right? And they realize that, man, I can't keep doing this for another 20 years. I need to find a way to make my money work for me, but I just don't know how to get started. That is my perfect client. That is the client that will do the best in my programs. And so we're going to teach you how to find more money, right? Multiply your money, and also manage your investments through automations. Okay. And so that's who I'm looking for. And how can you find me? You can literally look up my name on everything. I made it easy for everybody. It's Katiana Carre, or Katiana Carre in English. Okay. Or Kat, right? Just put in my name on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on everywhere, TikTok, everywhere, YouTube, everywhere. I made it easy for you. So that's how and even my website is katianacarre.com. Made it easy.
That's cool. Thanks for making it so easy. Thanks a lot for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I certainly appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back.
Yes, thank you. This was awesome.
And thank you, the viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up, by the way. We appreciate it. Without you, there is no show. So please hit the share button, hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected with each other, by the way. And I never get tired, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of sharing with you how special you are, how much greatness you have inside you, how you're awesome, how you're super amazing. You're one incredible human being. And I believe that today, in fact, is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your better days are yet to come. With that being said, my name, in case you forgot, is still Shay Brown. It ain't changed. The Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless. We wish you success. Thanks a lot, Kat. We out. Peace.
Bye.